Hi, today on Working Horses with Jim, we will continue with our third and final video of the Draft Animal Powered Network Field Days. We have interviews with some people who work with horses. We have an obstacle course and a human versus horses tug of war, so stay tuned.
The horse is uncomfortable, you are definitely going to be uncomfortable. So try to find a spot where that horse, it works for them. Especially when they start to get a little bit older or a little arthritic or anything else like that. I do horses on my toe. I really do. I'll put horses on my toe. I can shoot them just like that. We can cut a softball in half and screw it to a piece of plywood so that the really arthritic horses, they can stand. So it's wherever the horse is going to be comfortable because they're going to stand there the longest when they're comfortable. So what do you think? Do we feel a little bit more confident and comfortable holding them? Right? Do we feel like rasping our fingertips off? Yeah?
So I am here with Ian Snyder, and Ian comes to us from North Carolina, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And Ian, how long have you been coming to DAPNet?
Oh gosh, I started coming to the DAPNet Field Days after I became a board member a couple years ago. So this is my second one that I've been to. I didn't come to the one last year, but yeah, it's a really great gathering. I mean, the word I used to somebody yesterday was cross-pollination. You know, it's like it's different areas, different traditions, different techniques. I mean, over here we got folks working on a log scoot. We don't have those back home. We have a sled, similar, but it's just, you know, different regional, you know, stuff is so cool to interact with and see. And we don't have hardly any oxen down home, you know, and so to be able to come and see oxen working, you know, moving wood, working in the field, it's just, I told somebody, I'm in awe of that, you know. They're not attached to anything. You're just walking there next to them. And it used to be very common, you know, back many years ago, but it really hung on in the Northeast, which is really cool to see. And so, you know, I like different places, different, you know, cultures. So for me, coming here is just an adventure, and I get to support an organization I feel is doing good things.
Yep. So one question I wanted to ask you, Ian, is what do you do with horses in your life?
So in about 2005 or 6, it's a little blurry now, but I started getting involved with using Suffolk workhorses to do low impact conservation style forestry, mostly for small private forest landowners in southern Appalachia. So you know, our woodlands down there are, you know, parts of small farms, and as they are, you know, a lot in the east, but especially there's, you know, 20-30 acres of somebody's woods that they want managed well, and they want to, you know, make some income from, and they want to a lot of times use the wood themselves for something, and so we started doing that. And then the recession hit in 2008 and 9, and that really threw us for a loop in that part of the world, as well as, you know, all over the world really. And I had a very fortunate phone call from a woman named Beth Sorrell in March of 09, and she said, "We really like what you're doing with the horses and the logging. Could you come look at our forest?" And I said, "Well, I'm sorry, I can't." You know, I was about gonna hang up the phone, and she said, "No, we don't want to sell the timber or do anything like normal like that. We want to see if we can harvest the wood and build an addition on our house with it." And you know, that was like a aha moment. The skies parted, and ever since then we've really focused on a custom value-added approach to, you know, harvesting timber with horses locally, you know, from a good, you know, silvicultural forest management plan that we normally write. I've, you know, gone to school for forestry at Clemson University, and we saw that timber up and then end up building actually something for folks out of it. We take it all the way from the forest to a finished product. Often timber framing is our end goal, but not always. Sometimes we'll do a floor, hardwood floor, a large piece of custom furniture, but we call it a CSF, like farmers have a CSA.
Cool.
And so the idea for us is that before we go to the woods, we know what's going to happen to the wood at the end.
That's really neat.
Yeah, thanks, appreciate it. Yeah. So I won't claim again, it's a ripped off idea from the farmers. It's nothing I came up with on my own, but I think it's been that model. I've seen it done in fisheries too, other types of natural resource businesses, folks that are harvesting natural resources and they want to have some security that they know, hey, we're not crossing our fingers, we're going to make a living at this. We know some people are going to support us, and that seems to be working pretty good.
That's great. Ian, do you have anywhere that people could look you up if they wanted to?
Oh yeah, so our website is, our company's called Mountain Works Conservation, and our website is MTN, like mountain abbreviated, MTN Works, MTNWORKS.org. And so there's information on there. We're, like most people have websites, we're constantly messing with it and adding things and changing stuff, so parts of it are in states of updating and construction, but all the basic information is there. Yeah, we're more than happy to talk to anybody. One of the reasons I'm involved with DAPNet is that there's lots of other small businesses like y'all's and mine that can come together and, like say, cross-pollinate on ideas and skills and everything. But one thing that's really sort of a passion point for me that I'll mention is that business has been really good, and we're really grateful for all the support we've had with it. And I've got really good other young collaborators that are coming on to help sort of expand that and move it beyond even what I'm able to do just myself and my capacity. And that's that, and teaching for a while several years ago at the college level really inspired me that there's so much potential in this for folks that want to do it, that are younger than me or coming on to do it, that I'd really love to teach. And so my long-term goal is to partner with DAPNet and other organizations to try to teach more of these sort of things formally, because we're doing it really well now informally, but I think a little bit of formality will help kind of raise the bar for all of us and make sure people are staying safe and being successful, because it can be difficult. This isn't easy work, and there's a lot of things you can learn if you learn it properly from the beginning. It's like learning a language. Someone once told me that, if you want to learn a language, you go spend a month in Spain and you'll learn. It's like, well, but I'd probably be good to take a couple of classes in Spanish first, that way you have a rough idea as to where you're at and what you're doing. So that's kind of something I'll make mention of, that if folks are interested in that sort of thing, teaching stuff, learning stuff that way, definitely reach out.
That's awesome. Yeah, I really appreciate your time, Ian.
Bet.
And the cross-pollination idea, the way you say that, I think that is what happens here at DAPNet, right? Yeah.
That's cool.
Yep.
And I appreciate what y'all do too. It's a great channel. I'll say my kids, they'll watch this. They find a man Oakley, and it's a really good, wholesome, family-oriented bit of content on the internet, which is not always easy to find.
Yeah.
So, and it's really peaceful to put on. I'll bring my son home from school and say, okay, buddy, you want to have a snack and take a break, and he's like, yeah. I was like, you want to watch something? He'll say, I don't know. I said, what about Working Horses with Jim? Oh yeah, Working Horses with Jim. Yeah, let's watch that. So we appreciate what y'all are doing. It's enjoyable and it's inspiring, and it's great to connect with y'all. So.
Thank you. Thanks for your time.
You bet.
I am here with Karma and Michael Gloss, and they have been an integral part of DAPNet for a long time. How many years have you guys been coming?
Many.
Wow, I mean, maybe since the beginning?
Yeah,
I mean, back when there were sort of those workshops at the NOFA conference, all the way to, well, the DAPNet was at the NOFA conference, right?
In Vermont.
Yeah.
You actually came before I came.
Yeah, a while.
Yeah,
A while.
Yeah.
Yep. And you guys have horses.
Yep.
What do you have for horses?
We have 3 horses. I'll talk about 2, and she'll talk about the other one. We have a team of Norwegian Fjord draft ponies, or draft horses, I guess.
Yeah, don't call them ponies.
Yeah.
They get offended.
And we use them in the woods, mostly in the small vegetable garden. We do about an acre of stored vegetables, being garlic, onions, potatoes, some popcorn, winter squash, and then also lots of cover crops.
Okay, and so you use them a lot for your production of.
Yeah, they're the main, and up till like 3 or 4 years ago, they were the only sort of traction on the farm. We do now have a skid steer for like loading manure and turning compost and such, but they do all the traction work on the farm.
Great. And the other horse you have?
Oh, well, I have the remnants of halflingers. I used to have quite a few halflingers, but right now I just have one riding horse.
And we've gone through. We've had Belgians, we've had Percherons, halflingers,
Slew of halflingers. Yeah.
Single horse teams, you name it. So the gamut. And the plug for DAPNet, on the DAP chat, we were featured on the second, not DAP chat, the DAPcast.
DAPcast, yeah.
Online, so you can listen to our story in 3-part harmony.
Yes, that was great. I saw that.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that was really great. One other thing, Karma, you grow plants? You grow...
Yeah. That kind of became my thing after we decided to stop raising hogs. We used to raise a lot of hogs, and I was having some mobility issues, and I was like moving hogs and pasturing pigs, and it's like too much for me right now. So I decided to take on plants a little bit more. We built a big greenhouse, so I do like herbs and bedding plants and vegetable plants, but my main thing is house plants, honestly.
That's really cool.
House plants and passion flowers. So I do certified organic house plants, which is not a common thing.
Yeah, that's really neat. It's a niche.
It truly is my little niche, but it works great in the summer. You know, as our front-facing farmers market to have plants in the summer, because the meat and the eggs are not that interesting on the counter, right?
Right.
So, but I have the plants, and then once it's too cold to bring the house plants, then it's time to bring vegetables, because we do storage vegetables. So it works really well for our season.
Great. What is the thing that you find, why do you guys have fjords?
So we basically went to the smaller animals, probably mostly because, I mean, we like them just generally, and I guess I can say why I like them, but they work well for the scale and the amount that we use our horses. I mean, you have to, unlike, you know, tractors, you have to feed, you know, a horse every day, whether you use it or not. So we found them to be a very sort of practical in that sense of not having to feed as much for an animal that potentially is not working. If we were using them every day and had more work, then we'd probably go to the larger horses, but the smaller horses work better. We did a lot of training with interns for many years, and I think sometimes the large horses are pretty daunting to people, and although we didn't get them for that reason, they worked well in that situation.
That's very good.
And so that was we were mostly using halflingers then, and had a single fjord, and then because of how good the single fjord was, we went to a team of fjords. And also we were able to find them in the area, and fjords are not a common breed, and to the point where they're also probably very expensive. And so if we were to have to get another team, we wouldn't necessarily get fjords just because they may be not available and too expensive.
Yeah, they might be out of our price range now.
Yeah, you got to
so I mean,
consider all
definitely
that.
getting the type of horses that will work with your system and are available and also affordable. And so the breed we like that breed, but it's not like we would always be tied to them forever.
Okay. Well, thanks for talking with me today.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
So I have Saxon here with me, and Saxon, what is your last name?
I'm Saxon Alexandra.
Oh, okay. And Saxon has a very interesting job, and I think it's cool that she's here this weekend. She's going to share with us in just a second what it is, but that's one thing about DAPNet. There's so many different interesting things to learn here over the weekend. So Saxon, you're on.
Hi, I'm Saxon Alexandra. I'm an equine structural integrator. I'm a fascial body worker, but I also do a lot of anatomy education. So my contribution to DAPNet this year, I have a full equine skeleton. This is a thoroughbred skeleton, so not quite to the same scale as the draft animals that we're working with here. We do have some minis, but you know, most of the horses here are a lot larger than this. this specimen was. So this is a thoroughbred skeleton. I travel with this skeleton and I teach about anatomy. I teach riders, but I'm really excited to be involved with DAPNet and kind of dip my toe into the draft animal world. So what we have here, this horse was a polo pony. We assume she was about in her early 20s. Her name was Peggy. We feel very strongly at the osteology program that I work with that the horses that come to us and get donated and for composting, they're individuals to us, that their presence in our bone collection is a continuation of their story. So they don't have numbers. We really treat them as individuals. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of history about Peggy, but she's a great example of like a normal morphological skeleton, and she's a wonderful teacher for folks that are wanting to learn more about what's going on inside of their horses. So a horse spine is what we're going to talk about today. There's 4 main parts. This is our cervical portion. We have our thoracic portion, our lumbar spine, and our sacrum. And I've also brought the pelvis out just so for reference. But we'll start with the front. Obviously, we'll start from head to toe. So all of the bones in our body have their specific shape and a specific function. And I think the neck is a great place to start because we have some really unique morphology of the bones. So our occiput is where we get our yes motion, and our C2 joint is where we get our rotational motion. So here's a horse's C1, and we can see this is where it would be attached to the skull. So we can see how we're getting a lot of this motion, versus C2 has its own specific shape, and we can see how this joint is going to support this rotational motion a lot better. The next 3 vertebrae in the neck have very similar morphology. Their main purpose in the neck is general flexibility and stability. So if we look at the underneath, they have very similar morphology. They're all pretty much identical copies of themselves, and they serve a very similar purpose in the body. The lower part of the neck, C6 and C7, have their own unique morphology, because in this area, this cervico-thoracic junction is where we have our heart and our lungs. We have a lot of important organ fascia and organ pleura that's attaching to these first ribs that are coming off of the first thoracic spine. So this is the part of your horse that's deep in the middle of their chest, right between their shoulder blades. And it's, this is where our draft horses are pulling from. This is a really incredibly important part of the horse's body. So the fact that our unique morphology here is allowing for all of these intricate muscles to come up from the thoracic sling and really provide specific stability to this part of the horse. The next section is the thoracic section. Thoracic vertebrae have a pair of articulating ribs. So all of these vertebrae, if you look closely, you can see these spaces in between. So each rib articulates on 2 individual vertebrae, so the head would be in both places here. So this is our withers, and we can see the curve of the spine. I'm sure we all kind of have this idea of this is where the saddle sits. We know this is where our rib shelf goes. And again, we can see that each of the vertebral bodies has a very similar morphology, but we can see that the shape of the dorsal process has an individual shape based on its function for the rest of the body. Here, we have the lumbar spine. So for us, this is our waist. This is the most mobile part of the spine. And we can see that these transverse processes do not articulate. They're solid. They are providing support for the really big pelvic muscles are coming up underneath and attaching to the underside of these vertebrae. So this is a really important place of stability, of flexion, when we're talking about asking our horses to, really push from behind. This is where this flexion is coming from the thoracolumbar joint and from the lumbosacral joint right here. So this is also an incredibly important, obviously the whole spine is very important, but when we're talking about specifically draft work, the health of this area is so incredibly important, and having a qualified body worker to work alongside your vet and your farrier is something that I really highly recommend, because we have the specific training and soft tissue to be able to kind of tune into things that might be going wrong, or keep things from getting really bad. The last portion, aside from the tail, I don't have my tail vertebrae out, but the last portion of the spine is the sacrum. So this is this portion that's helping to stabilize the pelvis, and ours is a little bit different than this. So it's absolutely normal that these vertebral bodies are fused. This happens around between 5 years old and 7 years old, depending on the horse. So it's really important to remember that in your young horses, these growth plates are still very open and vulnerable to injury. So it's really important to make sure your young horses are getting off to a good start, and we're conditioning this area properly to support the closure of the growth plates later in life. So we're supporting their soundness in the long term.
And at what age do they usually fuse?
Usually between 5 and 7, but the best way to confirm, this is a difficult area to radiograph, the best way to confirm the closure of growth plates is with radiography. So I am a proponent of just wait. There's so much you can do with ground driving and harness familiarization. I feel that it's very beneficial to wait until a little bit later in the horse's life, give them a really good base of conditioning before we're asking them to do, pulling really big logs, really big loads, all of this really hard work. There's a lot, it can go a really long way to do very slow and careful conditioning with the young horses and really make sure their bodies are prepared for a long life of hard work. So I think we all have heard quite a bit about SI joints, the sacroiliac joint. So this is where this joint is happening. So these are the wings of the sacrum right here. And we can see by the texture that there's quite a lot of tendon attachments here. This roughness, this is the surface area for the soft tissue to be able to have somewhere to grab onto. So in the body, the sacroiliac joint, the pelvis would sit. So if we'll talk about the pelvis. So these are the tubercoxa. Those are what we think of as the points of the hip on our horse. These are the sacral tuberosities. You can feel those. Yeah, you can feel those often, on the. Oh, that's okay. We can feel these bumps right on the top of our horse's back. And then the pubic symphysis. This is our hip joint where the femur is coming out. And then our tailbone right here, the tail and the anus would come through here, and then you can feel these points of the buttock right behind. Yeah. Just to orient ourselves.
Yes, that's great.
And then in the horse, the sacrum is sitting right like this, right inside of the wings of the ilium, and there's a sort of this diagonal rotational moment that comes here. And it's important to remember that this is not an encapsulated joint like our knee joint or our ankle joint would be. There's no synovial fluid and joint capsule here. It's just a lot of really strong tendons. So this is another area that's incredibly vulnerable to injury if we're putting too much too fast, if we're not doing proper conditioning, if we're starting young horses with loads that are too heavy without really preparing them for that work. And we can see even in Peggy, oh, we do have a little spider friend, don't we? Yes. We can see in Peggy that these sacral tuberosities are slightly uneven. So it's likely that when she was young, or maybe sometime in her life, that there was some sort of injury here that caused this asymmetry in the ilia and the change in the tensegrity. So it's really something to be careful and aware of. Okay. This is also a difficult area to image in a horse. If you're having concerns about your SI joint, then I recommend having a transrectal ultrasound done. That's the best way that we can image all the nerve roots and everything that are coming out of the sacrum. But yeah, that's what we've got going on in your horse's spine. Some of the important places, some things to think about, some things to inform you as you're bringing your young horses along or reconditioning an older horse. All of these different portions of the spine have a different job, and supporting the health of the spine is really important to having a sound working relationship with your draft animal.
Well, thank you very much, Saxon.
You're
We
so
really
welcome.
appreciate it. It's very informative.
Absolutely.
It didn't felt as much as it did
This is a felting project.
You get a lot of
The pony pulled
you wouldn't get every log you got.
this around, and now it's felted out. Do you call it felted out, or what do you call this?
They did drive up
Felted.
there.
Felted.
So yeah, it's so far lightly felted. You can still pull up a little tent of loose fibers. So it's on its way. It's not going to go back to being loose, fluffy wool.
Yeah, she's over back at the trailer. She said she could use
Very
Got
cool.
a long ways to
Still
go.
was doing the obstacle course.
up, boy. Back up.
Get in, Blaze. Get in. Get in, Blaze.
All right, trim a little bit. All right, now back him up.
Blaze in. Get in. Get in. Get in. Get in.
Good. Get in there, Blaze. Back him up. Back a little more. All right, you're in.
You're good. You don't have to wait. You can go.
All right, you're driving the figure 8 by yourself. Step up, Blaze.
Good. Up,
Step
up, up, up. Ha, ha, ha.
Blaze. Gilly. Step up.
Step up. Good. Ha, ha, ha.
All around, Blaze. All around, Gilly.
Ha, Blaze.
Step
Ha.
up.
Ha, ha. Good. Ha, ha, ha. Up.
Blaze. Gilly.
Ha, ha, ha.
Doing good, Terry. And I would go on the right side of that pole
Okay.
and head towards the left a little bit. Boy. You're good.
Ha, ha.
You're good. Go a little ha. I go right ha a little more.
Ha, 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 ha.
Good, I can reach it there if you need.
Well, I want you to have fun. Try it. Okay.
It's up to you to stop. You're ready.
I want to do it that way, yeah.
Hey.
Good job, Terry. Good job.
That's a lot of horns. You can barely see around them.
All right, trick done.
The number 2 slot.
No, she's already won that one.
Everett. Oh, fine.
That's the second time she's won it.
Oh, well, that's why she did so well. Oh.
Everett.
Everett.
Hey, Everett.
Go get it, go get it, go get it.
Come out. Third place. Terry. Single front. Well, there was oxen and there was horse. It goes by how many points they had deducted first. She had 0 points deducted. She got third place.
Somebody yelled golf score at
Fourth place, Becky.
Becky!
Keep on pulling till you can't pull anymore.
Tug of War.
Okay! We have a winner!
All right. All right, the humans. Score 1.
John.
I'm not pointing fingers. You're the problem.
Okay, are you guys ready?
Sure, ready.
Are you ready? You ready, Jacob? On my whistle! Back! Back! Keep going! Keep going!
Well, it has been a wonderful, wonderful weekend here at the DAPNet Field Days, and we are all lining up for a group photo. And this is a lot of the people that have been here this weekend, and what a fun time we've had. We hope that you have enjoyed the video. We'll see you next time.